Money does not reflect how capable you are. Money reflects where you stand inside the structure. This is the truth no one wants to state plainly, because the moment it is stated plainly, the entire narrative of work hard and your turn will come collapses. Society does not operate on fairness, it operates on position. It is not the one who does more who receives more, but the one who is authorized to decide who takes the larger share. Look around you. There are people who work less than you, speak less than you, and in some cases understand less than you. Yet every decision they make pulls money toward them, forces others to adjust, and reshapes outcomes. Meanwhile, you work twice as hard, absorb 3 times the pressure, and still wait to be recognized. The problem is not effort. The problem is the role you are playing. We are taught that money is the reward for diligence. A very elegant story, elegant enough to keep millions of people exactly where they are needed. The moment you believe that enduring a little more, sacrificing a little longer, will cause the system to pay you back fairly, you volunteer to remain in a lower role without coercion. This is not naivete. This is a control mechanism. Money does not flow toward sweat. Money flows toward decision power, toward the points others must pass through, toward positions where absence causes delay, confusion, or collapse. When you are not in that position, no matter how competent you are, you remain a replaceable component, and anything replaceable is always priced downward. The most dangerous condition is not a lack of money, it is spending years inside the wrong role and mistaking it for your identity. You begin to feel proud of endurance, of loyalty, of being the one who gets things done. You are praised for being good, diligent, reliable, but no one fears losing you. And when no one fears losing you, your income has already hit its ceiling. This message is not about wealth hacks. It is not about motivation. It is about level, about where you are positioned inside the money game. Because until you change levels, every additional effort only accelerates your erosion in the same place. If this makes you uncomfortable, that is a positive signal. It means you are beginning to perceive that you may have been mispositioned for a very long time. And until you see position clearly, you will never understand why you did everything right and still ended up with the wrong outcome. The most dangerous illusion is not getting rich fast. It is the belief that if you endure long enough, the system will eventually reward you. This belief does not arise by accident. It is cultivated, repeated, and carefully protected. Because once you accept it, you willingly remain exactly where the structure needs you. If effort truly led to wealth, poverty would have disappeared long ago. Reality points in the opposite direction. The hardest working are usually the busiest, the most exhausted, and the least mobile. They work so much they no longer have the distance to look upward. They carry so much responsibility they lose the right to refuse. And they are so loyal they lose all leverage to negotiate. The illusion that trying harder is enough functions as a perfect psychological trap. It convinces you that every present failure is temporary. That if you have not been compensated fairly yet, it is only because you have not tried hard enough. Just a little more. Just endure a little longer. This exact reasoning keeps you in the same role, year after year. No one needs to imprison you. You confine yourself. The system does not despise hard workers. On the contrary, it depends on them. It needs people who instinctively say, "I'll handle it. It's fine. I can take it." These individuals keep everything running smoothly, while decision power and disproportionate rewards move elsewhere. Your effort does not disappear. It simply flows upward. The bitter truth is this: the more capable you are, the tighter this illusion grips you. Competent people always have evidence to justify waiting longer. They are trusted, relied upon, praised. But praise is not power. Trust is not decision authority. And being busy has never been proof of freedom. Here is the reality. Stripped of sentiment, there is no linear relationship between effort and income. There is another relationship, cruder and more accurate, between position and reward. When you are not in the right position, every ounce of effort only makes you indispensable inside a structure you do not control. Breaking this illusion is the first step, not so you become lazy, but so you stop pouring strength into a direction with no exit. As long as you believe that effort alone is sufficient, you will never ask the more dangerous question, who is deciding and why does that decision not belong to you? Level 1 is the lowest tier in the monetary structure and the most crowded. Here, money comes from a single source: time and physical output. You are paid for the hours you show up. When you stop, the income stops with you. There is no margin, no leverage, no breathing room. People at level 1 are not necessarily lazy. Many are relentlessly hardworking. The flaw is not attitude, it is the mechanism. When income is tightly bound to physical presence, you become a replaceable unit. Miss a day, someone else fills the slot. Miss a week, the system keeps running. Miss a month, your name quietly disappears from the list. The most dangerous feature of level 1 is that it is comfortable to survive in. Everything is clear. Work, get paid, spend, repeat. No need to think about position. No burden of decision-making. And this clarity sedates people for years. You grow accustomed to getting by and mistake it for safety. But safety at level 1 exists only as long as your body can continue to be sold. At this tier, your value is not measured by what you understand, but by how much you can endure. Long shifts, fatigue, pressure. Praise revolves entirely around endurance, but endurance never compounds. It only erodes. Level 1 is not a place of shame. Everyone passes through it. It becomes a trap only when you stay too long, when you start taking pride in how much you can tolerate, instead of asking why no one needs to keep you. At level 1, if you disappear, the system does not adjust. It simply replaces you. And that is the cold boundary of this tier. You exist so that work gets done, not so that you decide whether the work should exist at all. As long as your income is tied to your physical output, you remain at level 1 no matter how many years you have put in. Levels 2 and 3 are where most capable people get trapped for life. They no longer sell raw labor like level 1. They sell skill, cognition, understanding. They work more efficiently, solve harder problems, carry heavier responsibility. And precisely because of this, they become useful enough that the system has no incentive to let them leave. At these two levels, the trap is not poverty. It is hope. The hope that competence will be recognized. The hope that dedication will be rewarded. The hope that your turn is coming. Hope is what keeps capable people in place the longest. Because capable people always have reasons to believe they deserve to wait a little more. The mechanism is simple. When you perform well, you are given more. When you take responsibility, you are trusted more. When you do not complain, you become the safe option. Every apparent step forward tightens an invisible restraint. You become busier. You become more central to operations. But decision authority never transfers to you. You solve the problems. Someone else defines them. Level 2 is where praise begins. Level 3 is where reliance begins. But both share one critical trait: no one fears losing you. They may prefer not to lose you, but they do not fear it. If replacement becomes necessary, it happens. It takes time. It costs a little more. But the system does not fracture. The bitter reality is this: the more capable you are, the more sophisticated the exploitation becomes. You are no longer forced. You are persuaded. You are no longer commanded. You are trusted. You are no longer stripped openly. You volunteer to carry the load. And every time you say, "I'll handle it," you sign another line in the invisible contract that keeps you in place. At levels 2 and 3, people begin to confuse personal value with utility value. You feel needed, so you assume you are valued. But being needed is not the same as being irreplaceable. Being needed only means you are helping another structure function more smoothly. When that structure shifts priorities, you will be thanked and then left behind. A clear signal of this tier is perpetual busyness. A packed calendar, overlapping tasks, endless responsibility. You are not short on work, but you lack the right to refuse. You are not short on income, but you lack a higher ceiling. You live in constant motion, which leaves no space to ask the dangerous question, why must everything pass through me? While the final decision never does, levels 2 and 3 are slow death tears. No collapse, no drama, just years slipping by under the sensation of being on the right path, until one day you realize that someone who was once beneath you now stands above you while you remain here, more skilled, more exhausted, and more difficult to extract than ever. This is why these levels are the most crowded, and why so few escape. To leave levels 2 and 3, you do not merely change how you make money. You must be willing to abandon the image of the good one, the reliable one, the bearer of burdens that you have spent years constructing. And that is a price most people are unwilling to pay. The real reason people at levels 2 and 3 cannot escape has nothing to do with money, skill, or opportunity. It lies in the ego, an ego built beautifully, aligned with social approval, yet structurally weak when confronted with power. This ego cannot tolerate being disliked, misunderstood, or seen as the one who disrupts the rules of the game. A weak ego is not an inferior ego. On the contrary, it is often paired with traits that are publicly praised: responsibility, reliability, social awareness, thorough execution. The problem is that these traits are engineered to serve a structure, not to control it. When you attempt to move higher, the very qualities that once made you valued begin to tighten into restraints. People at levels 2 and 3 fear something very specific: loss of image. The image of the good one, the dependable one, the one who always shows up when needed. When you start saying no, when you introduce conditions, when you withdraw from responsibilities that produce no leverage, you do not merely risk losing work, you lose a familiar role. And a weak ego experiences the loss of that role as the loss of self. There is another, quieter fear that is even more corrosive: the fear of no longer being needed. Many people fuse their sense of worth with others' dependence on them. When they imagine a future in which they are no longer the operational center, no longer the first name called, they feel hollow. Instead of building power, they choose to preserve usefulness, emotionally safe, financially brutal. A weak ego also clings to the moral framework of the lower tiers. It needs to feel right. It needs to be recognized as decent. But power does not operate on right and wrong. It operates on leverage and risk. As long as you need to be liked in order to feel valuable, you will avoid actions that generate discomfort. And avoiding discomfort is the same as avoiding power. One clear signal of a weak ego is constant rationalization of stagnation. You say you stay because of responsibility, because of the team, because of circumstances, because the timing is not right. These reasons sound reasonable, even noble, but they all serve the same function: to avoid confronting the fear of being perceived differently once you change position. Escaping levels 2 and 3 requires an identity collapse. You must accept that the good, dependable, burden-bearing version of you cannot coexist with the version that holds decision authority. You must choose to be liked or to be respected, to be needed or to be impossible to bypass. This is not a moral dilemma. It is a structural one. As long as you cling to a weak ego to feel safe, you will continue investing energy into roles with no higher ceiling. And as long as you require external validation to confirm your value, you will never place yourself in a position where others must adjust because of you. Level 4 is where the rules of the game change, not because you suddenly become rich, but because the way others behave toward you begins to shift. At this level, you are no longer priced by diligence or devotion. You are priced by the bottleneck you control, the point at which, without you, things no longer move as smoothly as before. A bottleneck is not about doing more work. It is the point where decisions slow if you withdraw. At level 4, you are no longer solving problems defined by others. You occupy a position that forces others to think before defining the problem itself. This is the fundamental difference between being useful and having leverage. The first signal of level 4 is psychologically uncomfortable. You are no longer liked the way you were before. You say no more often. You step away from responsibilities that produce no advantage. And immediately, praise evaporates. In its place, something else appears: caution. Others begin to seek your input before deciding. They no longer assume your automatic availability. At this level, income has not yet exploded, but the right to refuse emerges. And the right to refuse is the foundation of all leverage. When you can say no without being immediately removed, your position has already changed. Others begin adjusting to keep you in the game. Instead of assuming you must adjust to stay, level 4 requires accepting a cold truth: not everyone should continue to like you. Relationships built on convenience begin to fracture. Those accustomed to you carrying the load become irritated. But in exchange, you exit the role of problem solver and move closer to the role of deciding which problems deserve to exist at all. A defining trait of those who hold bottlenecks is weighted silence. When you have not answered, progress slows. When you have not agreed, decisions remain suspended. This is not performative power. It is structural power. It does not need to announce itself, because its effect is already embedded in others' behavior. Level 4 is also where many people turn back, not because they fail to see the benefit, but because they cannot tolerate being seen differently. Moving from the one who is always praised to the one who must be accounted for carries a heavy psychological cost. But without crossing this stage, you will always fall back into levels 2 or 3 under a different, more refined disguise. At level 4, money is not yet the greatest reward. Position is. Once you stand at a point where your absence creates risk, every negotiation thereafter begins from advantage. From here on, the game no longer revolves around how much you do, but around who needs you to remain. Levels 5 and 6 are where power is no longer fragile. Here, you do not merely control a bottleneck, you become part of the decision structure itself. Removing you from the table is no longer a simple option, because the cost exceeds the benefit of replacement. When you are absent, progress does not just slow, the direction begins to distort. People at levels 5 and 6 do not do more. They operate at the correct point. Their value is not measured by workload, but by their ability to define what receives priority and what is discarded. They do not need to be everywhere. They need to be present at the right moment. And each appearance triggers recalibration from everyone else in the room. A clear signal of this tier is weighted silence. When they have not spoken, no one dares to finalize. When they have not nodded, decisions remain suspended, not because they dominate or impose, but because everyone understands that bypassing them is a strategic risk. This is not performative power. It exists only after the structure itself has acknowledged it. At levels 5 and 6, money begins to accelerate. But money is no longer the primary objective. It is a consequence. Those at this tier rarely display wealth, because display signals instability. They do not need to prove value. The fact that others must adjust is evidence enough. When you see someone who speaks little of achievements, yet every decision roots around them, you are observing stable power. Another critical shift occurs here. The moral code of the lower tiers no longer applies intact. Not because people at levels 5 and 6 are less ethical, but because they are no longer bound by the need to be liked. They can make decisions that displease some because they understand that preserving structural integrity matters more than pleasing everyone. This is the difference between being liked and being respected. Levels 5 and 6 are often mistaken as the destination. In reality, this is only the tier where you cannot be ignored, not yet the tier where you write the rules. You exert significant influence, but still operate within an existing frame. Still, once you are firmly established here, the fear of being dragged back to levels 2 or 3 disappears. The game has fundamentally changed. Levels 7 and 8 are no longer about climbing higher within an existing system. This is where the system itself is redefined. People at this tier do not compete for positions. They create the frame within which all other positions must operate. When you reach levels 7 and 8, The question is no longer who makes the decision, but which decisions are even permitted to exist. Power here does not come from controlling specific individuals, but from controlling structure, the unwritten rules, the norms, the flow of information, and the distribution of rewards. Those who write the rules rarely appear on the front line. They stand behind the principles that cause others to self-adjust without explicit commands. A clear marker of levels 7 and 8 is that expectations are shaped before action occurs. Others do not wait for instruction. They anticipate what is acceptable and what is out of bounds. Once expectations are installed, power operates in silence. At this tier, a nod, a short sentence, or even absence is enough to redirect outcomes. At levels 7 and 8, money almost disappears from central focus, not because it is scarce, but because it has become the default consequence of controlling the frame. People at this tier do not prove wealth. They demonstrate it through the ability to set conditions. When you can set conditions, others bring value to you in order to remain inside the game. The critical distinction between level 7 and level 8 lies in the durability of the frame. Level 7 creates rules within a defined scope. Level 8 creates rules that transcend the individual, persisting even after they withdraw. When you reach level 8, your personal choices are no longer opinions. They become shared realities others must adapt to. This is not a destination meant for the majority, nor is it something to fantasize about before you are firmly established in earlier tiers. But understanding the existence of levels 7 and 8 is necessary, because it reveals a cold truth. The highest form of power is not excelling within the game, but rewriting the game itself. This section is not designed to make you feel better. It serves one purpose: only to identify the level you are actually on without debate. Answer quickly. Answer honestly. No self-justification. If you disappeared for 30 days, what would happen? Would the work slow down because someone needs to be trained? Or would someone simply replace you and everything continue as usual? If the system only loses time, not direction, you are still on a disposable tier. When you say no, what is the first reaction? Do others renegotiate? Or do they immediately look for an alternative? If they can root around you with ease, your right to refuse carries no weight. Do important decisions require you in the room? If you are invited only to execute, not to shape direction, you have not touched a bottleneck. Does your income rise when you work more, or when others become dependent on your decisions? If money is still tightly tied to hours worked, the structure has not changed. Do others adjust their behavior before speaking to you? Do they weigh their words, wait for signals, or test the ground before committing? If not, your influence is not yet sufficient to create risk. And the final question, the most uncomfortable one: if you exited the game tomorrow, who would be forced to change their plans because of you? Not who would miss you, who would be compelled to adjust. No scoring, no ranking. Just look directly. Your level does not live in your thoughts. It lives in how others react when you are present or absent. Money betrays no one. It obeys structure. It flows toward decision authority, toward points whose absence creates risk, toward positions that force others to adjust. The moment you believe that doing the right thing, doing enough, working hard will be rewarded automatically, you have already placed yourself in a serving role, not a controlling one. Here is the cold truth: no one owes you wealth because you tried. The system compensates position, not intention. When you occupy the wrong tier, every effort you make only helps the system run more smoothly. It does not move you forward. You are not being treated unfairly. You are being used exactly as the structure requires. If you remain poor after years of disciplined work, the issue is not morality, attitude, or competence. The issue is that no one fears losing you. And when no one fears losing you, your income has a ceiling. When income has a ceiling, every plan you make merely circles within the same boundary. There is no soft exit, no comforting shortcut. Either you accept the destruction of your old identity in exchange for position, or you preserve that identity and continue living inside a role that feels safe but is permanently capped. This is not a question of right or wrong. It is a choice between being liked and being respected, between being needed and being impossible to bypass. The money game does not reward the one who sacrifices the longest. It rewards the one who stands at a point where withdrawal would force the game to be rewritten. When you understand this, you stop asking, how much more do I need to try, and start asking, where am I positioned? And that is the final boundary. If you do not change levels, the system will continue to consume you until you are worn down.